And Alex. Thank you guys for having me. It's my first time here. Thank you for the invite. Just give me a minute to get plugged in. Okay, so this is a little taste of Hy.pe. Hy.pe is a creative platform for interactive live multimedia broadcast. It's available on iOS. We have Android coming soon. Early reviews of the app. We just launched it 2 weeks ago. Early reviews are fairly positive. Daniel writes in, this is like an acid trip in app form. I like it. Brian Baker adds, just used Hy.pe for about 5 seconds and some guy yelled at my name and wanted me to start singing, threw my phone out the window. Charlie Judd says, just ate a turkey and cheese roll up on Hy.pe, it was lit. Mark Amaro says, my only advice is to change the name, guys, which is great feedback. And Conklin Fangman, aka Hairless Bigfoot, adds, Hy.pe, I decided your app sucks. And then all the apps that we're done have had this guy, Hy.pe team lead developed Hy.pe app for Windows Phone. So I think we're off to a good start. Speaking of Hy.pe team, on the left are the Hy.pe founders, Russ and Colin. They were previously founders of Vine. In the middle is Nick Gallo, who's our content director and a minor internet celebrity. And on the right is our whole team in the Soho office department. So now, if any of you guys do have Hy.pe on your phone, can you guys raise hands if you do have a Hy.pe and you're logged in? I wanted to just do a quick broadcast just to kind of show you how it goes and give you some context for showing what we actually do on Crew. I'm just going to jump in and start a broadcast. Live from Kubernetes meetup. Okay, I'm live. You should be able to find me in the Explore screen now. And then just share with your neighbor if you could. I know probably people here. Alright, so basic idea of this app is that we have interactive live video. You can see what I'm seeing here. This is my host view for those of you guys who can't see. I have a camera here in the middle. I have background video that I can adjust. I can add media, and we get a lot of feedback. You should hear our office, it's absolutely insane. I can add media into the broadcast if I like. Throw these on here, you can do whatever I want with them. And you guys can tap the like and show me some love in here. If you're packing different media elements to let me know if you like them. We get these crazy sparkles. Which I think is where people get the idea that it's about drugs. Okay, they had music. I have not had music in my phone. So that gives you a little sense of what you're doing. Everybody on this app, except for me, does a much better job. But I wanted to give you guys a little taste of where we're at. There's comments here. Are you guys commenting? Okay, good. I got some friends commenting. Okay, my friend Andre says don't crash. Thanks for that, Andre. So it's a little bit of fun that we can have here. So I think this is really about taking what you can do with live video broadcast and really taking it to the next level of creativity by adding this media composer on this side, on the broadcaster side. So allow me to pull in media, movies, music, photos, people's comments. People in the comments can post photos that can share them on the broadcast. So you guys can see the potential of that. So that's what we're building, that's what we have built. I'm going to go ahead and end this delightful broadcast and say goodbye to people on the internet. And that's my broadcast.
How long have you been developing it?
So the team started on this in sort of fall of 2015. The founder started just noodling on ideas. I joined the team in April of this year. And so really the back-end development started for us this year.
Are any other live streaming platforms working on similar interactive features?
Well, now that they've seen ours, I think that probably. There's a few ideas in here I think that would be like pretty straightforward to take. I think like featuring comments on the screen, bringing photos into the screen. If you go onto like YouNow and other live broadcasting, you will see people doing like kind of funny hacks. Basically, they have the camera and they're like, oh, you got to check out this cool thing on my computer. And they'll basically point the phone at their computer screen. So simple things like that, where it's fairly obvious that people want people to bring media into the broadcast. They want people to bring their music into the broadcast.
Yeah. No, it's very cool.
So that's what we built.
Yeah.
So it's cool. That's the demo. So I want to segue then to a little more technical.
What is your target audience for this app?
Anybody who wants to have like kind of an insane live media experience on the internet. So teenagers. I mean, certainly with Vine, I'm working with part of the team from Vine, right? And so a lot of what we're doing with this app on the product side comes from some insights from Vine's launch. So building this kind of open-ended tool, you can do anything with it you want. It's very easy to share videos, and then sort of teams jump all over it and make it theirs. So we're kind of expecting this thing to happen if things go well.
Is there like recording or like is there an option to record stuff, or is it just like time and that's it?
Yeah, in fact, I'm uploading a replay right now, so it does record your camera roll. So I do have that delightful experience on my camera roll, and then we'll upload a copy and make that available. And so one of the features of the app is to upload. We'll take the full replay that you upload and then kind of carve out, try to find the highlights from it, and then make those available as clips so you can share. Cool. Any other questions about the app?
What's the biggest, simulcast, the biggest audience that you have? Is there a limit to how many people you can broadcast to?
We have not really a limit. I think I have a hard code limit in there just to take it to as far as I've done in load testing. The largest simultaneous audience I've seen so far is around 100 and some users. Certainly if you look at other live apps, people go much higher than that.
And is there like a max duration for the broadcast?
Interesting questions. I don't have a max duration on there now. I have thought about whether we maybe should add one. It's an interesting question. Yeah, we did have the kind of wondered a little bit somebody was going to hack the API and then just set up random webcams or whatever. Something to think about. We may actually terminate broadcast up for a couple hours. There's no real product use for us to do that. Okay, so why did we choose Kubernetes? When I've been pretty new to this. I came, coming from Vine, we built out a very straightforward architecture on Vine, and so really the architecture that I built here is informed by those experiences there. What drew me to Kube was really a desire to address as many of the problems that we had at Vine as I could. With Vine, we launched on a very simple EC2 instance architecture. Everything, the app servers were stateless workers, Memcache, Redis, and MySQL database instances, all provisioned as instances and configured via Chef. It's a very kind of vanilla architecture, I think, for 2012. That was fine, I think, for launch, and it got us pretty far, but what we started to get as we scaled was a few challenges. One was Chef really became kind of a big challenge for us. We got to a point where it was hard enough to modify Chef recipes and add new Chef roles that really only a couple people on the team could do it. And so that became a big bottleneck for us. And so we got to a situation where, we're basically backlogged on trying to add new roles and add new recipes to the point where you get the team, I'm sure you guys have experienced, where the team is starting to subvert that a little bit, right? So they're basically running one-off jobs on machines where they don't belong. I remember Apple One had dozens of things running that it shouldn't have. And so that's one problem we ran into. Second was just kind of that approach with instance level management, instance level alerting meant that I'm getting woken up for app 74 is down, and I'm like, okay, I don't really care about app 74 at all. And then deploys working, as I'm sure you guys know, we started out at Vine with just copying code to servers and doing rolling restarts. Over time that kind of grew and grew to the point where on every single deploy you have failures and timeouts. And that really was scaling. And the last point was it was just strangely hard in that architecture to just kind of run a one-off job. So like I mentioned, Apple One was getting cluttered with all these random jobs that people were running on it, just because it was easier to do that than to actually go through and do the work of setting up a proper role in Chef. And so that led me, when I started, I knew this April, and really looking at kind of okay, I'm going to start over. When I came in, it was really just a single Node.js script that was being SCP'd with a single instance, or kind of a clean slate. So I think Kubernetes is really trying to address these problems. And kind of, I was hoping to have a fast forward a year and really have an architecture that allowed for developers on the team to have kind of a self-service approach to building services, have just dramatically lower cost of operations and time spent in operations, and then all the other benefits you get from deploys and everything else out of the box. So this picture has architecture for Hy.pe. Again, it's a basic architecture. It actually looks very similar. It looks very similar to what we did at Vine. So I have a Kubernetes cluster sitting behind ELB. ELB does the SSL termination. Inside Kubernetes, I'm running two stateless services. So I'm running our API, which is a REST API. Sorry, three: a REST API, a WebSocket server, and the website, the Hy.pe website. When you guys saw the app, the main feeds you saw are hitting the API, obviously. When you're inside the broadcast and you're seeing the video on the screen, all the metadata about the screen, so when I'm moving things around the screen, when people are liking things on the screen, when people are commenting, all that's going through the WebSocket channel. So it's basically like a live chat that's happening. Next to that is a Wowza cluster. Wowza cluster is a little bit out of scope for the talk, but what we have there is Wowza Stream Media Server. It's a Java server, proprietary software. We have a license for it, and I have a cluster running there. That was something where I was kind of on the fence about whether to put that in Kubernetes or to put it out of Kubernetes. I originally kind of prototyped having it in Kubernetes. I had it all containerized. I pulled it out, and I'd be very interested to hear people's feedback on this. I pulled it out just to kind of try to simplify a little bit, because I was new to Kubernetes, new to Wowza, and I thought, okay, let's just try to keep these things separate. And at least if one goes down, I can kind of say with some authority, okay, it was that and not this. That was kind of my thinking on that. Going forward, I can easily see bringing them back together, especially as we scale out and we have the need to meet sudden demand on the media side. Like let's say 1,000 people suddenly join a live broadcast, and I suddenly need capacity to cover people. Having these on like vanilla auto-scaling groups might become a challenge. Inside Kubernetes, I'm running a handful. I kind of just listed all my. I kind of just like get all pods and like listed everything else that I have there. The only stateful service I'm running really is Sentry, which has a PostgreSQL instance in it. I pulled out pretty much all the major stateware. So I have MySQL hosted in RDS, Redis is hosted in Elasticache, I have Elasticsearch in AWS, and then S3 is hosting kind of the media uploads, right? The extra upload replays. Questions on this before I move on?
Actually, sorry. Like I've seen these demos with Kubernetes like autoscale. Is that particular to Google Cloud, or that's like inherent to Kubernetes? I would think that having a Wowza cluster in Kubernetes would help you.
It should help, yeah. I mean, so I have the way I have Wowza cluster now is I have it in an AWS autoscaling group, and so I have the ability to bring it up and down, and it all works fine. I think, yes, it all works fine. I mean, I think that the main thing that it was a little bit tedious, I guess, to get all that set up and just use Cloud Make to install versus using Docker. Definitely, auto-scaling, different question, I guess, but auto-scaling for the Kubernetes cluster is something that I plan to look at. I haven't done it yet. I understand that there has been work to do auto-scaling on AWS. I don't know the scope of that work. I think we hear guys.
Yeah. If you use self-serving, if you use Stack Overflow, you build with less GK as a native one. I think the thing we do is we support Packet, Ocean, but I don't think the autoscaler really works. GK, GC, AWS, and works on AWS. Have to check on after. You can get back to me if you want, and yeah, I can tell you more in a week.
Yeah, so I have a single master, and then the nodes are on all four of the AZs and USDs. So just talking a little bit about the development process. So for local development, I'm really just using kind of like the vanilla node environment. I have actually Redis and SQL I install on my laptop, and so for there's kind of no Docker or Minikube or anything else running in my development picture. when I go ahead and make a change, I have a CI service. I'm using build-type, Jupyter build-type. So it's like a service where it hooks into your GitHub, gets the push notification from GitHub, and then it actually coordinates with an agent that you self-host. So that's what I like about it. So I'm self-hosting the agents, but then the coordination's happening in the cloud. Does that make sense?
Is it still controlled by Travis and Circle with like the YAML file and the repo?
It is controlled by, no, it actually, I configure on their website.
Okay. Use Travis or right? To replace the chat.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not super familiar with Travis, but you configure the build pipeline on their website, and then I drop into my repo a Docker file or a Docker compose file, and then when it launches, it actually runs on my infrastructure where I have a Docker server, and then it actually runs, it just builds that Docker file. Or in my case, I have a Docker compose file, so it takes the Redis, MySQL, and the Node application, and then just spins them up on that server. I definitely recommend build-type. I really enjoyed it. The thing I like best about it is that it's really just that it lets me run the agents, right? So I'm not having to like ship my code to some other server to run it. So then I have, so after it's passed, there's a second build-type agent that actually runs as a pod in Kubernetes. And the thing that having it as a pod in Kubernetes gives me is it has access to, I give it a packet of kubectl, and so it actually is able to then go touch the Kubernetes API. And so what happens then is a build-type triggers as part of the pipeline test pass, it triggers kubectl to actually do the deploy. And so it patches the deployment and causes the rolling, I think. A little bit of a different environment, so probably pretty standard. I have staging and prod in different Kubernetes namespaces. Each environment has its own set of secrets, and I have per environment config just as a secret in the environment. So I just take the entire, I take this big JSON file and just stick it as a secret, with one for prod, one for staging, one for dev. And then I'm using this service called Hy.pe Kubernetes. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one. It basically deploy it as a deployment in Kubernetes, and it pulls the Kubernetes API for services and reads an application that's on there, and then it syncs through to Hy.pe for DNS. And so that's how I have DNS. Pretty straightforward. What was the timeline? I mean, you were asking about kind of how long we've been at this. This is sort of my timeline of the company. I joined in April. Like I said, at that time, it was a very straightforward thing. Maybe in my first week, I brought up the Kube 1.2 cluster just using Kube Hub on AWS. I started with, I remember starting with replication controls and immediately throwing that and moving to deployments. At that time, with 1.2, there's a lot of stuff about AWS that was very kind of a pain in the butt, like ELB configuration was all manual. They would configure the ELBs for you, but if you wanted to have SSL termination, you have to go add the cert information manually. No root 53 inclusion. Between May and August, really, we just we're sprinting an application development, getting the app out, so not a lot happened on the infrastructure side. Just now in September, I went on to 137, which was nice. I was able to get rid of a lot of the ELB accuracy we had, which is kind of great. And then October, there was the load testing. When I went to 137, we added, I moved on to COPS. Do you guys say chaos or COPS? I've never heard it said. So, you guys even familiar with this project? This thing outputs Terraform for the environment in AWS, and I think moving to that was a big boon for me, just because being able to read the Terraform plan and kind of seeing exactly what's going to get set up is a big improvement over Kube. How many of you guys are going on AWS, by the way? Okay, great. And what are you guys doing to bring up clusters in AWS? Right. Okay, and then finally we launch in November. Okay, so a little bit about what I've been really liking with Kubernetes so far, based on my experience. continuous deployment setup that I got I've been very happy with it. I thought I was just very nervous about going kind of right to it. I think it was, kind of figured there was never going to be a better time to do that. You might as well start insane and then you can always back off. Versus like, it's like 3 years into your project, it would be very hard to argue for like, oh, we need continuous deployment. It's also got to be very honest about writing tests as I go, because I know that if I don't, I will probably break something. One thing that I had to, one funny gotcha about doing continuous deployment is I actually kind of forgot how to deploy manually, and so I've actually had an issue where like overhead was down, and I was like kind of completely at a loss how to get code to go out. But I figured it out eventually. Second thing I'm loving is when I'm pulling when in doubt, throw it out. So it's basically when I have this architecture, I have the node, the kube nodes are in autoscale group. The pods will get recreated, delete them, and so basically, if I have a pod that's kind of doing weird stuff in my monitoring, where I just see like something for some reason CPU is just very, very high, it's not coming down, I can just delete it. Memory seems to be going up and going up and going up, I can delete it. If my kube node stops scheduling pods for whatever reason, I can just terminate it. That approach has been great. It's something we didn't have designed. I really wish we did. Next point is service monitoring. So I think this is again kind of coming from Bio, we had this sort of Nagios space, Chef and Nagios, and very like process level monitoring, host level monitoring. Okay, app 47 doesn't, has 13 processes, it should have 14 processes. Moving to a world where you're just really just forced to kind of monitor the service level. Is my service responding to requests? Are my request rates correct? Error rates correct? Just shifting that mindset, which I don't think is like unique to Kubernetes, but it's sort of forced by it. It's going to be a big boon. Another thing that I personally like, and this might be a little bit controversial, I've been very happy with Terraform. I've definitely heard from people who said, like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and he was like, go home right now and get rid of it. And I was like, wow, okay, that's a little bit tough, but he had some bad experiences. I think we've had a pretty good experience with it. Be able to see kind of like the changes it's going to make your infrastructure make sense, and you just haven't hit the big gotchas yet, the way we're using it. And the last thing that I call out is just the sort of broader Kubernetes community. I think it has this funny feeling of maybe when I came to this, I thought, okay, is this kind of crazy? Is this too new? Is this like going to be okay to go this direction? But basically, as I deployed this and worked with it, pretty much every time I hit any kind of a snag, I kind of can go Google it, and finding somebody who's like hit that snag like literally like weeks before, and there's a patch coming through and it's just about ready. So it feels like kind of the exact right sweet spot of adoption, if that makes sense. Where I feel like the right people are running just ahead of me to pave the way. And it gets a couple times I've had to pave some way, so the heavy lifting is getting done for me, which is good. I wanted to make a slide about like what's not working so well, and I actually had a hard time kind of coming up with stuff. I feel really good about it. I think probably there's some really random stuff on this list. I don't know if other people have hit this. For some reason, the kube nodes just like progressively run out of inodes. If you just like chart inode usage, it's just kind of continuously going up the thing. Every time I do a deploy, Docker does something, and the more inodes get used, and then it makes it released. And so my approach has been to just terminate instances. Kind of find. I think this might be fixed in 1.4, so maybe it's just a question of upgrading.
What sort of monitoring gaps do you have? Or have you not gotten that?
I will. The next thing. So I mentioned Docker hang. So I occasionally have a case where I just cannot schedule a pod on the node. I'm just terminate. Something I don't really understand. Monitoring gaps, I'm using Datadog. Datadog Kubernetes integration until very recently didn't have support for deployments. And so I'm doing everything with deployments, but then I'm able to see some basics about pods, I'm able to see things about replication controllers, but not really able to connect the replication controllers across the different updates of the deployment. And so some basic stuff that I want to monitor, like okay, how many unscheduled pods or unschedulable pods do I have in the cluster? It's just not available in Datadog. So it's hard making it better. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And then scaling manually, being careful. So I really want to move to auto scaling. Up to now, this is probably where the worst haven't had any major outages, but like the worst kind of hiccups that we've had had to do with kind of miskeying auto-scaling groups in Amazon. I'm sure you'll have experience with this. Accidentally deleting an auto-scale group is a great way to lose half an hour of uptime. And also scaling up and scaling down too many nodes out of your cluster to larger percentage is a great way to kind of like cause a hiccup. If you have, if all your pods are moving onto one node and then you're deleting that node out from under it. It had some small hiccups there.
On the monitoring side outside of Kubernetes, what about on the network side? I mean, do you have much visibility into how it performs for your users or any issues with that? I mean, it must be very specific where people are like trying to, since it's so real time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're flying a little bit blind on like the user experience. Like I don't have like telemetry coming back. And we're starting to get some telemetry coming back from the clients. It's tough in terms of the real-time media. In terms of like API requests, those are instrumented on the client. I do get a stream of data back from the clients. On the real-time media side, we don't have great instrumentation on the client. That's definitely a gap.
Just user feedback probably.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and the founders are like, it's not working. It's like, it hasn't helped that the Wi-Fi in our office has been really flaky. So then we have this like confounding thing.
Last mile, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just definitely something I'd like to see. I think we're not too close to having that, to be honest. Like the pipeline on the client for ingesting the media, it's basically not there. Like it needs another couple rounds of work to get to the point where they can instrument it and then maybe get data back. We did that instrumentation at Vine, and it was like very noisy too. It was like kind of limited utility the way we did it. So it could be challenging. I don't know. I'd be happy to. I'd love to talk more if you have good ideas. So a little bit about some of the things I'm planning to do. So kind of most immediately, just migrating to 1.4. I feel like that, I understand that's going to fix this inode issue. Addressing the gaps in monitoring, I think that's just maybe as simple as picking up the latest Datadog agent. Horizontal auto-scaling is something I'm very interested in. I understand there's quite a bit of work there to get that working on AWS. It's been on Google for a while. So that may be a straightforward project. We'll have to see. Something that's very interesting to me. I mentioned Docker image security. I'm kind of new to Docker, and I guess I was a little bit like kind of surprised that I'm just putting names of things in my code, and then it just sort of magically appears on my cluster inside my environment with all my permissions. So I'm kind of an area that I need to dig a lot deeper into, I guess. Is your talk about security after this, or something else?
More tangentially, but I'm happy to talk about that too.
Okay, sure, yeah. And this is an area, so like I'm really excited to be kind of invited to this meetup and get to meet you guys, because I think this is probably an area where you guys know a lot more than I do. I'm very new to this. I mentioned wanting each pod to assume an IAM role, so I guess it's actually basically a solved problem. There's this kube to IAM stuff that I haven't set up. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but basically like in kind of my old world with Chef, I have instance roles, and I can assign specific permissions to the specific roles that I'm running, and I can say, okay, this worker needs to, can talk to this, this S3 bucket or whatever. And especially for keeping prod and staging kind of apart from each other, it's very valuable. But in this Kubernetes world now, I'm basically taking all those roles and just assigning them to every node in the Kubernetes cluster. And so that's something where I'd like to be able to get back to where I used to be. And I understand there is a path for that. And then, like I mentioned, I'd like to run the live media servers in Kubernetes. I'm sort of interested in doing so, but maybe not in a huge hurry to do that work. Okay, that's the end of. Yep, great. And we are hiring. It's a very small team. I think you saw there was 9 people on the team. I'm the only back-end engineer. We have 3 iOS developers, 1 back-end engineer. That's the entire tech team. Exciting company, and exciting time to be at the company. It's a lot of fun. We're making a lot of decisions and trying to cover a lot of ground as fast as we can. Questions?
What are you hiring for?
So primarily, I'm hiring for basically for the back-end team primarily. So kind of 2 roles that I have in mind. One is sort of a platform lead, so thinking a little bit more like trying to maybe taking over some of this work on Kubernetes. And then the second is more of, I guess, like an API or sort of like application engineer. So basically building the back end of the application. So thinking about all the application concerns in the back end, thinking about like, safety and user abuse, and how do we like, blocking users and all the other kind of business logic that has to go in on the back end. Yeah.
What's your plan for scaling? When you have a lot of users, do you have a plan to scale the application without making any mistakes? Like crashing,
Mhm.
That's a plan for the future. How many, do you have a plan for scaling up your application in the future? Depends on the user, the growth of user. Do you have a plan for that?
Yeah, the plan as it is to, at this point I can continue to add, nodes, so I can scale out the Kubernetes cluster horizontally and continue to add API capacity. The API is stateless, so the bottleneck there ends up being on the database. The database I can scale up, and at some point if I have to partition it, I will.
Which database are you using?
It's MySQL.
Or can you use Postgres scale faster? 9.6 to scale up to a petabyte of memory.
I use MySQL is what I was familiar with. I mean, we ran it for several years at Vine, and it seemed, it worked fine for us. And so I think there was some value in having it be comfortable. On the Wowza side, on the media side, the scale plan is I have I didn't really draw out the Wowza architecture, but the host connects to one node and publishes a stream, and then you have these different repeaters that connect to that node as well, and so you can scale out the repeaters horizontally. Is that clear?
Do the users own the videos?
Do they own the videos?
Does Hy.pe own the videos that people upload? Do the users? Or do you
I'd have to read the terms, I think. I haven't really thought about it. I think we do whatever these, all the social media companies do roughly the same thing, right? There's some.
But like Twitter, users own their tweets. I think Facebook owns all the users' content.
Okay, I haven't looked at it yet. But our terms are on the website, and so you could look it up. I haven't looked at it. Anybody else? Questions? Okay, cool. Thanks.